So, ladies and gentlemen, when Pope John Paul II became top Catholic in the world many, many years ago in the late 1970s, a lot of people thought it was a great thing being from Poland, one of the first non Italian popes in recent memory. But this movie kind of predicted it and also predicted some of the factors that were surrounding the political influence that a pope could have. In the case of Pope John Paul II, he was a big supporter of Solidarity, Lech Walesa, the political party in Poland, and Pope John Paul II's election eventually led to heavy peace across the globe. Whether he did it or not, it was a big factor. So today we're going to be talking about the shoes of the fisherman and why I believe this is probably one of the most underrated movies of the modern era. Now, Anthony Quinn plays the lead role, the shoes of the fisherman, or the Pope to be, as Cardinal Kirill Pavlovich Lakota, later Pope Kirill I. Now, Anthony Quinn was called upon to do a lot here to play kind of a former captive Russian that ascended to high stead within the Catholic hierarchy across the world. Now, the American epic political drama was directed by Michael Anderson, based on Morris West's 63 novel of the same name about Vatican and Cold War politics. The film starred Anthony Quinn, Oscar Werner, David Janssen, a fugitive fame, Vittorio De Sica, Leo McKern, John Gielgud, and Laurence Olivier. The film was released by MGM on November 14, 1968. It received mixed reviews, but received Oscar nomination for Best Original Score and Best Production Design. Composer Alex North won a Golden Globe for his score, and the film was nominated for Best Motion Picture Drama, and it was also high up on numerous best of lists for 1968. Now, the exceeding cost to produce the movie put the MGM under heavy financial strain. We'll get this into a moment. Now, this one, during the height of the Cold War, possibly between 63 and 66, Kirill Lakota, the Metropolitan Archbishop of Lviv, Ukraine, is unexpectedly set free after 20 years in a Siberian labor camp by his former gaoler, Pyotr Ilyich Kamenev, now the premier of the Soviet Union. He is sent to Rome, where the elderly Pope Pius XIII makes him a cardinal, assigned titulus of the Church of St. Athanasius. Lakota is reluctant, begging to be given a simple mission with simple men, but the Pope insists that he kneel and receive the scarlet juketa that designates the rank of cardinal. Now, when the pontiff suddenly collapses and dies, the process of a papal conclave begins, and Cardinal Lakota participates as one of the electors. These scenes are quite effective, especially when the fugitive self, David Janssen, has to announce who becomes Pope. Now, during the sette vacante, two cardinals in particular, Cardinal Leone and Cardinal Rinaldi, are shown to be the leading candidates. After 7 deadlock ballots, Lakota is unexpectedly elected Pope as a compromise candidate suggested by Cardinal Rinaldi by spontaneous acclamation in a Sistine Chapel by the College of Cardinals. A very effective series of scenes, by the way, well played out and respectful. Now, many of the ones who voted for him were impressed with him and were touched by his ideas and his humility. Lakota reluctantly accepts election and takes the name of Pope Kirill. Meanwhile, the world is on the brink of nuclear war due to a Chinese-Soviet feud, made worse by a famine caused by trade restrictions brought against China by the States. The evening after election, the new pope, and held his valet Gilisio, sneaks out of the Vatican and explores the city of Rome, dressed as a simple priest. By chance, he encounters Dr. Ruth Faber, who is in a troubled marriage with Rome-based TV journalist George Faber, again, played by David Janssen. It's the Russian. Now, a major secondary plot of the film is the Pope's relationship with controversial theologian, philosopher, and scientist Father Telemont. The Pope becomes Telemont's close personal friend, but he's deep regret in his official capacity. He must allow the Holy Office to censure him for his heterodox views. Nevertheless, the two remain friends, and Telemont becomes the Pope's most trusted advisor. To the Pope's deep grief, Father Telemont dies from neurological malady, shortly after giving the former some much-needed support. Now, later, the Pope returns to the Soviet Union, dressed in civilian clothing, to meet privately with Kamenev and Chinese Chairman Peng to discuss the ongoing crisis. Pope Kirill realizes that the troubles in China continue. The cost could be war that could rip the world apart. At his papal coronation, he removes his papal tiara and pledges to sell the church's property to help the Chinese, much to the delight of the crowds in St. Peter's Square below. This revolutionary action brings the world a new chance at peace. Now, numerous scenes were filmed right at the Vatican, either for the movie or archived. And like I said, very, very effective, quite good. Now, MGM purchased the film rights in '64, and the production was assigned to George Englund, who was the right to screenplay with Morris West. Englund was also making Dark of the Sun for the studio. Now, when Quinn was announced as star of the film, it was relatively early. The original director was to be British director Andy Asquith, but he became ill in November '67 and eventually died a few months later, as replaced by Anderson. Englund asked for technical advice from the Vatican, but received no permission to film there, so places like the Sistine Chapel had to be recreated. Now, the papal tiara used for the coronation during the film is modeled after Pope Paul VI's papal tiara. Now, the ending of the film was changed for the book, West said. Structurally speaking, I've always thought The Shoes of the Fisherman was one of my weaker books. It wanders too much. The script for the film is tighter, more direct, and I think it says in a stronger way part of what I want to say in a novel. We've come to a point in history where men, black or white, Marxists or capitalists, Christian or non-Christian, are going to have to make a choice. They're either going to have to commit themselves to an act of love for each other or an act of hate for each other. Men on each side have to say, look, we're all brothers. Why do we kill each other in the streets? Don't let's drop the atomic bomb. Let's talk for one more hour. Today, this is a real triumph of good over evil. It's what I tried to put the last speech in the film. Now, West said he spent months working on a scene where Telamone was questioned by the Inquisition. He says eventually the scene worked, but only because I raised hell after finding that it had been altered by the actors with the consent of the director. I argued that it destroyed the theological validity of the plot in violation of contractual obligations between the studio and me. West says that by the end of the film, the acclamation of the variations was such that I took my name off the script. This made him reluctant to sell anything other than a thriller or a very simple story to the movies again, because of the way Hollywood tends to distort the underlying philosophy and theology of anything that can't be easily shaped from the screen. Now, the film was the sixth most popular movie at the Aussie box office in '69, but it was still a notable box office disappointment. And it's very rarely shown on TV unless it's like an Anthony Quinn, dedication week on TSCM or like an MGM showcase. Now, the escalating production costs of this film, along with Ice Station Zebra at the same time, led to the transfer of MGM President Robert O'Brien to chairman of the board, but he resigned his position early '69 after both films were released and failed to recoup their costs. Now, Alex North was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Score, and George Davis and Edward Carfagno were all nominated for Best Art Direction. Now, Rotten Tomatoes, bad reviews, has really hurted 43% on there, based on 7 reviews. But I've seen this movie several times over the years, and I'm still amazed how you can get Quinn and Laurence Olivier and Oscar Warner and David Jansen in such a top flight movie. It hits all the dots for me. But Irwin Hillier's cinematography is quite strong, music by Alex North. Running time, there's rumors there's a 4-hour cut of this someplace, which I like to see, but 162 minutes, it goes by fast. But the budget at the time of $6.7 million was not expected. There was cost overruns for quite a bit. It came out actually right before start of Christmas month in North America, November 14, 68. And again, Anthony Quinn as the Pope is totally believable. I'm still shocked he never got a Best Actor nomination for the Globes or the Oscars. One of his best performances, in my humble opinion. And this was a couple of years again after the end of the Fugitive as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, a very interesting movie for a very interesting time, because by 1968 the world was getting deeper and deeper in the Cold War. If you like what we're doing here, we're 1968 tribute podcast. Let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, or share. And don't forget, sometimes a great movie can be found when you least expect it, especially when Laurence Olivier playing, a very, very heavy character, which is a preamble, I think, to a lot of these heavy characters of the 1970s. He played a lot of villains and heavies in that decade as well. Thanks for listening. Bye.